What's up guys, Josh here from Momentum Productions, and today I want to bring to you the Zhiyun Crane 2. This is an incredible gimbal and I can't wait to unpack it with you. Now, we have different generations of the Crane. We have the Crane version 1 and version 2, which is considered to be the generation 1 of the Crane, and we have the Crane 2, which is a completely different design and build. So this is the Crane 2. This is meant for heavier payloads such as cameras weighing up to 7 pounds or 3.2 kilograms. Let's get started with the unboxing process. The Zhiyun Crane 2 comes in a very well packaged box. It's easy to open and I'm very excited to see what's inside. Inside the box, we'll notice that we have a rather long case inside. This is a soft shell case, meaning that there is no hard plastics or any of that stuff that we saw on the first generation of the Crane. Now, is this a negative thing? Honestly, I don't think so, because if I mess around with the case here, knock it, I feel like it's very well padded. So I'm not worried about breaking the Crane 2 if I accidentally drop this case. It's very well protected. I also love the fact that their branding is done throughout the case. For example, I can see Zhiyun logo on the zippers and on the case itself. As soon as we open up the case, you'll notice how smooth and high quality these zippers are. That's a great thing because zippers usually don't last forever. I feel like these zippers are gonna last quite a long time. So as soon as we open up the case, we are greeted with the Crane 2 and its manual. What else do we get? We have 3 18650 lithium-ion batteries, an aluminum tripod, a battery charger, and we also have a little storage box that comes with our Sony, Canon, and Panasonic control cables. These cables are also able to power your camera while you're using the Crane. And to top it all off, this case comes included with a shoulder strap with metal hinges. So even though this case may weigh a little bit, these metal hinges will not break. They will keep your bag safe. Also, we have great padding on the interior of the case. It's made specially for the Crane 2, so everything is properly cut out and the Crane 2 sits nice and snug inside. We also have a rubberized handle up here, which adds to the comfortability when carrying this case around. Now, before we start talking about the main features of the Crane 2, let's put it all together. Let me tell you first that this is probably the easiest gimbal I have ever balanced because of this brand new intuitive quick release system. It uses a Manfrotto quick release plate, which is a standard plate for most Manfrotto tripods. Not only is this quick release system convenient, but it's actually extremely smooth to adjust balance when mounting your camera. So before we get even more into detail about that, let's install the tripod, the batteries, and turn this thing on. Installing your tabletop tripod is just as easy as previous generations of the Crane, and even installing your batteries is just as easy as well. There is one thing I really want to mention here, and that is the fact that they integrated the battery compartment into the gimbal itself. On the previous generations of the Crane, we had a detachable handle where it stored our batteries. The problem with that design is that I would accidentally twist that handle a little bit and the batteries would lose connection to the gimbal, so it would just power off. With the Crane 2, I don't have that problem because the battery compartment is fully integrated into the gimbal, which means that you can't disconnect the power. Great improvement there. Let's talk about the balancing process. On the Crane 2, I'm able to balance basically any camera in about 45 seconds. This is because of this new innovative quick release system that involves a Manfrotto quick release plate. Compared to the Crane version 2, this is a much better system. Because on the Crane version 2, I felt like the plate that moved your camera forward and back was a little bit too choppy and not as smooth. Because the Crane 2 has this new quick release system, the pitch axis is so easily balanced now, I can't even state how easy it is. The rest of the system balances exactly the same as the Crane version 2, so no problems there. That pitch axis was a big issue with me on the Crane V2, but they completely solved it on this new Crane 2. When we take a closer look at the Crane 2, we'll notice that it's composed out of aluminum alloy. The whole body is metal. absolutely love it. When we compare it to the Crane V2, we'll notice that the handle on the system is much thicker, because when we mount larger cameras, we will feel much more confident holding the system rather than using a thinner handle. Now, there are two big things that you're probably going to notice on the Crane 2 straight off the bat, and that is it has a follow focus wheel and an OLED display. Let's first talk about the focus wheel. This focus wheel is meant so you can pull focus and manually control it. This is a fully integrated follow focus system. No other company on the market currently has a built-in follow focus system into the handle of the gimbal. Extremely convenient here. However, this only works with Canon cameras such as the 5D Mark III and 5D Mark IV. Great feature there for Canon people, but for Sony and Panasonic people, we can't control our focus. But here's the good news. If you're using any other camera besides Canon, Zhiyun is releasing a separate follow focus module specifically designed so you can control your focus with the follow focus system. Now, am I clear on whether or not you can use the follow focus wheel with that follow focus system? Not really. They need to release more details on that. So stay up to date with Zhiyun's Facebook page, and they will release more details on that follow focus module. Next, let's talk about the OLED display. This is a great feature because you can see current status of your battery life on the gimbal. You can also change system parameters such as motor strength, follow focus sensitivity, and you can calibrate your gimbal without using Zhiyun's smartphone application. Now, if you want to learn how to change gimbal parameters, I strongly suggest that you check out this video here. It's a step-by-step guide that will show you how changing parameters can affect your shooting. So make sure you check that out. Next, let's talk about the rest of the control panel. We have the joystick and we have a dial. This dial actually changes your aperture and your ISO when you're using Canon cameras. Keep in mind, however, you do have to have the camera control cable attached. The OLED display also shows our current shooting modes such as lock mode, pan follow, and full follow. So you don't have to guess which shooting mode you're in. You can also view Bluetooth status. That way you can control the gimbal from the Zhiyun application. What's interesting about this gimbal is that it will slowly power off the motors. That way, if your camera isn't properly balanced, it won't swing down and hit the lens. On the side of the gimbal, we have two different ports. One meant for upgrading your gimbal's firmware, and the other port is meant so you can charge your camera using a dummy battery. It supports an 8-volt current, so that's the kind of battery that you can power. The accessory cable and dummy battery can be purchased separately. Now let's go back to the Crane version 1 and version 2. The joystick on the Crane 2 is much improved. I'm able to grip onto the joystick a lot better than on the Crane version 2. That's because the Crane 2's joystick has these bumps and grooves that allow me to grip onto it a lot better. On top of that, we have these improved adjustment screws. They have little wings on them, so they're a lot easier to grab. You can also change their orientation by pulling them up, and they snap back into place because they're spring-loaded. I've had this gimbal for about 10 days, and within that 10 days, I was able to use it on some of my professional shoots. Well, on my first shoot, I took it out to the Los Angeles Auto Show. This is just for fun, and I wanted to test out the smoothness and overall ease of use of the Crane 2. I think that the footage came out really well. It's smooth, it's cinematic, and overall, I'm extremely happy with the results. I also used the Crane 2 on one of my shoots with Rob Riches. He is a fitness trainer on YouTube, and I got some great shots with the Crane 2. If you know me and some of my work, you'll notice that I rarely keep the camera still. I want it moving around. And what better way to do that than with the Crane 2 gimbal? It literally smoothed out all of my shots, and I didn't see any awkward vibrations or shakiness in my footage. The operation time of this gimbal, with its three 18650 batteries, can rate up to about 18 hours of battery life. Again, this will change depending on how well you balance your camera and if you attach the control cable, which can also charge your camera at the same time. Obviously, when you charge a camera at the same time, you will see a much lower battery life on your gimbal. Next, let's talk about motor noise. The Crane 2 is dead silent. Other gimbals that I've owned have a slight humming or hissing sound coming out of the motors, especially when I'm making abrupt movements. So if audio is a big part of your production, this gimbal will be dead silent. Alright guys, the moment of truth. Should you get the Crane 2? Well, after owning the Moswa Air, Kane TV Argo, Fossicam FM145, Feiyutech A2000, and the Crane Generation 1 version 2, I can tell you that this is my favorite gimbal. This will be the one that I use and travel with everywhere. It has the portability, it has the functionality, it has that payload, that battery life, everything that I need right here. Now yes, after a while this thing can get heavy, but with enough training, with enough practice, you can hold this thing for quite a long time. When I was shooting my video for the LA Auto Show, I held this thing for 3 hours without setting it down. Yes, I go to the gym, yes, I'm very experienced with gimbals, and I've built up some arm strength, but if you practice enough, you can do that too. Especially with the dual-handed system. So I'm currently awaiting the dual handle grip for the Crane 2, and once I get that, the footage will be a lot better and I'll be a lot less tired. So I'm extremely excited to get that dual-handed system. And with the dual-handed system, you can actually attach much more accessories such as lights, monitors, and all that other good stuff. And of course, I'm gonna review that system as well. I reviewed a similar dual-handed system for the Crane version 2, so you can check out the video right here. Well, I'm gonna go get some shooting done, and hopefully you will too. If you have any questions about the Crane 2, please feel free to comment below with any questions or concerns. If you want to buy the Crane 2, go ahead and check out the link for it in the description box below. Don't forget to give this video a big like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel with notifications on. I can't wait to see what you create. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.